And go. Afternoon, everybody. I'm going to spend a few moments talking about the kicker, the end, how you get out of the piece that you've written. I'll tell you, let me begin with a brief story. About, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, I was in Atlanta with a friend of mine. She's attending a writing class. She's an excellent writer, but for some reason she wants to attend a writing class. And before we went in, she read me this essay. She allowed me to read this essay that she had done. It was a very personal essay on the moment that she found out that medically she would be unable to bear children. She had some sort of issue going on and she was not going to be able to bear children. And it goes deep into the pain and the angst that she felt as a woman who had always wanted to be a mom, discovering that she's never going to be, at least biologically, anybody's mom. And I was reading this and I'm really caught up in it and I'm really feeling it and I'm really with her. And then somewhere about the 3rd page, she lost me. And it just began to become words. And I didn't know quite what it was until we went to the class and she read it for the class. And then I told her, right here where you ended, your ending was actually 2 paragraphs ago. You wrote past, what your ending was. A lot of times in teaching and in learning, writing, particularly newspaper writing, particularly essay writing, the thing that we do is we spend a lot of time learning how to get them into the tent. What's the lead? Write a strong lead. Anybody ever heard that? Write a strong lead to get them in. And then we talk about crafting the argument. We never really spend a whole lot of time talking about how to get out. How to end, when to end, when when you know that you're done. So I have several different strategies that I like to use for writing the ending. To me, the ending has to be as memorable, if not more so in a different way than the beginning. I like an ending that buttons up the column. I like an ending that gives a sense of finality, an ending that makes the reader say, okay, not only does this sound like a natural finish for what we've been talking about, but I've learned something, or I've taken a journey, or I've come to, to some sort of conclusion. So among the things that I like to do for that, I'm going to talk about 3 strategies. One of them is I like to have an ending that has a little bit of a twist to it. I like an ending where you think that we're going this way, you think we're going to do this other thing, and then at the very last sentence I stick in a knife, okay? And just a slight little twist, and it takes you someplace else. This column here, can we come down a little bit? Okay, right here. This column here is a column about a 9-year-old boy, is his name here? Tyshawn Lee, who was targeted for murder in Chicago, 9-year-old African-American boy. And I wrote this piece, and I'll read you a little bit of the lead. We're gathered here today not to argue about some policy prescription, nor to excoriate some public figure. No, we are gathered because sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes you simply have a duty to bear witness. A child was killed last week in Chicago. He was shot to death. It is a measure of America that the statement is of itself unremarkable. Children are shot all the time in this country. But what makes this shooting stand out is that 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee was targeted. Police say the child, who was black, was lured into an alley and shot multiple times. Okay. So then we go through, the whole point that I'm making in this column, which is that, the African American community, that America has failed African Americans, and to a degree, African Americans have failed themselves. That there's things that we need to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then, as you're grappling with, whatever the angst is or whatever it is that you're feeling about the idea that this 9-year-old child was killed, we come down to the end. And to sort of twist the knife, let me read this right here. I'm talking about the concept of needing to bear witness. Bearing witness feels like impotence, but like duty too. A reminder that there are promises America still owes African America, and that African America also owes itself. Promises life owes to life, and that the price of this ongoing refusal to keep those promises is too often paid in children's blood. 5 days after Tyshawn's murder, a boy named Jaquante Riles was shot to death shortly after visiting a Chicago barbershop. He was 14. Okay? Now this sort of comes in from left field, but what it's intended to do is to show you that, while we're talking about this, it's still happening. Boys, kids, children, babies are dying. So it's intended to take whatever that angst was that you felt over Tyshawn Lee and twist that knife a little bit more. Here's another child who is dead, who's just literally died while I was writing, this column. While I was conceiving this column, this other child died. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do. You can bring in the fact that sort of gives the twist ending. I wrote a column once. We don't have it here, but I wrote a column once that was specifically designed for that. It was a column about the fashion of kids wearing, boys and young men wearing baggy pants and hats to the back. And my thesis that, if you wear the, racism is racism, but if you wear the uniform that is commonly accepted as the uniform of thug life or whatever, then you've got to expect a certain treatment. Same as if you wear a clown nose into the job interview. Unless it's with Ringling Brothers, you've got a problem. And I told the story in this column about these young men that I saw on the metro platform in Washington. And I said, the type, hats to the back, talking loud, baggy pants. I looked to see which car they got on. I got on the other. And I think the line I had was that you would have a lot of work to convince me that what I did was wrong. And I went through the argument that I just gave you about, how, we choose our clothes, we choose them, and they are an expression of conscious decisions. And then I came down to the end. If you think that anything that I've said is racist, there's one thing you need to know about those boys. They were white, okay? So again, a nice little twist, something that you didn't expect, something you were not looking for, something that takes it in a direction that perhaps you didn't anticipate, okay? That's one thing I like. Do we have the Donald Trump column up? Yeah, there we go. Is Donald Trump a man of faith? Okay. Now, a lot of times what we'll do is end a column with a quote. I almost never do, because I almost never find quotes that have that sense, as I talked about, of finality. I almost never find quotes that button a thing up like I want it to be buttoned up. This was an exception. Can we go down a little bit? So this is about Donald Trump. It's the week after the Pope said that a person who thinks only about building walls wherever they may be and not building bridges is not Christian. And it goes on to talk about, the many arguments, the many reasons that Donald is not exactly a model Christian. And it goes on, and it deals with the fact that, he insists that he is. But what I found at the very end, yeah, okay. Up a little bit. Yeah, okay, you're there, all right. I don't even know if I need to bother reading. For the folks in the back, I'll read this. As the Pope said, faith is about bridges, not walls. It is potting soil for all the things we hope. It is an obligation to serve and protect the least of these, and it is an assurance that at the end of the day, no matter how bad it looks, we win. You see little of that in politics, and the Pope was right. You see none of it in Trump. Monday night found him campaigning in Las Vegas when a man in the audience apparently staged some kind of demonstration. Donald Trump, man of faith, watched as security guards hauled the protester out. I'd like to punch him in the face, he said. Every once in a while, you find a quote that buttons it up, very nicely. And when the person that you're writing about, gives you the words to hang them with, it's almost rude not to. It's almost rude not to use them. He's offered you a gift. How dare you not accept it? 2 minutes? Are we already at the 2-minute warning? Oh God. Okay, let's go to the last. Okay, I got a time out now. I got technical difficulties here, but I'm going to keep talking while he's. Okay. The last thing that I wanted, the thing that is most effective in writing a kicker is. Oh, we're not there yet. The thing that's most effective for me in writing a kicker, and I do this about 50-60% of the time I'm able to pull it off. Dave Barry, if you ever read any of Dave's work, Dave does this pretty close to 100% of the time, is he plants the kicker, whatever's going to be the kicker, he plants it relatively high up in the body of the copy, okay? And then he comes back, and then you circle back to it. And I really love that because there's a wonderful sense of closure that comes with that. There's a sense of finality that comes with that. Can we go to I think we're back on the clock here. Can we go back to the top of this, please? The top of this one? Yeah. Okay. Up. Okay.
You want to stay on that picture a while?
No, not at all. Okay. Yeah, down, up. Okay, right here. It is hard to escape a sense that at some level we have disengaged from one another and that as a result our politics has shrunk into its extremes, like two boxers who retreat to neutral corners to yell across the ring. Down to the bottom, please. Two boxers yelling at one another from neutral corners makes for great theater, but the fighting is done in the center of the ring, okay? So again, and I had several other examples to show you, but I'm getting out of here before the hook comes. But that's an example of how you can plant something up high in the body of the copy and return to it. And it really gives, again, this nice sense of closure. I encourage you to think and to sort of not let the ending of the piece just happen, but to give as much attention and as much energy to that as you do to the idea of your lead. Because the kicker, if the lead is, okay, we got to get you into the tent, the kicker is, okay, this is the last impression. Okay, the kicker is, okay, I liked this and it made a good impression on me, and the next time I see this individual's byline, I want to read again. So, you know, what is the expression? You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. This is your last chance to make a good first impression. So give it the attention that it deserves. Thank you.